My name's Seb, and this was my first kind of day I went to primary school. And it was at sort of primary school that I realised that science and design and these kinds of things that is now my life in my office were kind of cool. So this is kind of my office here. It changes. It's got planes. It's got trains, which is a super cool office to have. It's also got my past, growing up in the 80s. So my past is here too, which is a bit scary and makes kind of me feel very old. So today, what I'm going to talk about is really a bunch of ideas, and ideas that a lot of other people have had, a lot of ideas that my teams have had and my colleagues have had. None of them are really new. But what has really changed now is that the technologies are available to make these ideas that have been going around since the 50s possible, and they've accelerated the pace of change too. So museums are facing a relevance problem, right? The web has made this relevance problem more exaggerated. Here's a group of school kids. You were probably in a group of school kids similar to this 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 10 years ago. They still come in and they fill out those worksheets, and they go around to find the things on labels, which are now here, right? This is a more efficient way of filling out those kind of same worksheets. And kids, we love kids coming to play inside museums now. But play happens everywhere. This is part of playful learning, and it's a really important thing. But what I'm interested in is whether a museum can actually become a platform, not just a place, not just a nice place to actually visit, but a place which is a platform for ideas and communities. And a place where stories are told, not only by us, people who work inside kind of museums, but by the people who come to them. But also, they're also a physical experience. And one of the things the web hasn't kind of done is that physical experience. And of course, museums have these things called collections. They're really expensive to kind of maintain, and they're really critical. They are what makes a museum a kind of museum. So here's a pyramid. At the bottom is all of our kind of collection. Only about 36% of the Powerhouse's collection is what kind of we call well interpreted. The documentation is very good for it. 5% is what you can see when you walk in the door to an exhibit. Here's one of the things that goes on behind the scenes. The 95% of the collection is worked on daily. So let's kind of flip that around. And this is one of the things the web has made possible, the flipping around. The whole collection is available through our website. That collection is picked up by people who relate those objects to their own kind of stories of their lives. And it allows kind of them to experience that collection anywhere they are. And that little yellow triangle is that tiny little thing right at the bottom. So here's an example of some of the stuff in kind of that 95%. So a museum also works as a lens on kind of the past. And here's a bunch of negatives. We've got thousands and thousands of these kind of negatives. By themselves, they're kind of meaningless. They aren't even produced. Here's when they are produced. This is the Victoria Markets, also now known as the Queen Victoria Building. This is around the 1880s. There's one motor car in this scene. Now, putting them out onto the web frees them from the limitations of a sort of museum's gallery. Here, kind of, they are on Flickr, freely available for anyone to take away and reuse and repurpose. So back at this image. This image has more meaning when it is able to be taken and put beside, in place, the current image of the building. So we've started to do things with mobiles, where you can now be in front of the Queen Victoria Building and get a lens on the past through your phone, or the beach. There's no permission needed to reuse these images. There's no, you don't need to request it from us. And this has enabled other people to go away and take all of those same images and do fabulous things with them too. They've taken this image from the 1880s, and someone in Fillmore has remixed it. That's kind of cool, yeah? No permission asked. And other people who had this same idea of moving those old images into the present. So here's a project by Paul Hagen at kind of the library in Canberra, where he's taken those same images and put them into Google Maps. Here's a project from kind of the ABC, where kind of the ABC has taken these images and their own images and other people's images and their archival footage and linked them up. Here's a group I became aware of in America who have taken these same images and done Sydney from America. And here's another project we've kind of become aware of who have set up a site to help us tag and catalogue these images. And we're not only letting this happen, we're also learning from it, and we're taking the information people give us in these other places, similar to Flickr. These tags are now appearing back in our own catalogue. So all of that repurposing and reuse is coming back to the museum itself. This is making us think more and more of connecting collections up. So here's a comb. This was made in the 1930s in Spain. And we catalogue kind of these, and we say this is related to all of these subjects, beauty and hair care, Spanish culture. We do that. But then we look on it one morning, a couple of weeks ago, someone's added a URL to it. It's not us. It's someone in the public. So let's see where this kind of URL goes. It goes to this, which is a digitised Sydney Morning Herald piece that talks about us acquiring the comb in 1950. This is connected up by the visitors to the museum, not by us. So back with this comb, this kind of got us kind of thinking that maybe there is more rich content in our text already. So we've kind of started text mining our collection of records and pulling out people. So here's a person who happens to kind of be the person who took out a patent to kind of manufacture cellulose. We now connect that to his book about cellulose. This is using a product called WorldCat. And then we can see where in the state kind of library we need to go to borrow it. Super cool. This is what the web does really, really well, right? What I'm interested in is how we can get this to come into the physicality of the museum itself. How can someone visiting the physical museum begin to tell us these kind of additional things? So we started putting URLs on labels, but this is a very one-way thing. We've done it in some clunky ways. These are really inelegant solutions. They're pushing this sort of web presence to the galleries, which is not really what we want. We want people to come to us, not our information to necessarily go to them directly. This has been one of the most successful projects. This is we've had 2,500 of these in an exhibition. People filling out paper forms telling us what kind of things are. Annika's wrong, of course. It's not elephant poo. And I'm thinking now that in fact within the museum itself, it's possibly about more paper-based kind of things and less visible technologies. But for this to happen, the biggest challenge is for visitors to museums to want to tell us their knowledge about kind of things, and to demand that we kind of listen to them. So I'll tell you what happens next time. So thanks a lot. Thank you.